When God is preparing you for a big shift, the very first thing He often allows you to feel is deep, unexplainable discomfort, not because He is punishing you, but because He is positioning you. That heaviness in your spirit, that restlessness in your mind, that sensing that something in your life no longer fits, is actually divine preparation. Discomfort is the language God uses when He is trying to move you from where you are to where you are meant to be. He knows that if you stayed comfortable, you would stay stuck. He knows that if life remained predictable, you would cling to routine instead of rising to your calling. So He gently and sometimes forcefully removes the ease you once lived in so that you can step into the elevation you've been praying for. This discomfort is not random, it is intentional. The prayers you prayed, the dreams you wished for, the breakthrough you begged for have all triggered a spiritual shift. But before God can place new blessings in your hands, He has to make sure your hands are no longer holding onto the old. That's why relationships start feeling draining. That's why the job that once felt stable now feels suffocating. That's why the habits you used to rely on suddenly feel empty. God is pulling you higher, and anything that cannot rise with you begins to feel uncomfortable. The very things that once gave you peace now feel too small because your spirit is outgrowing environments your body still occupies. And sometimes the discomfort comes in the form of pressure to change, pressure to heal, pressure to grow, pressure to elevate. You may feel like life is pressing you from every side, but remember this: diamonds are formed under pressure. God allows pressure not to break you, but to push you into purpose. Every challenge is strengthening your endurance. Every delay is stretching your faith. Every unanswered prayer is teaching you surrender. Every setback is building your resilience. What feels like a breakdown is actually a break through being formed behind the scenes. You may even find yourself feeling disconnected from people you once felt close to. That emotional distance isn't something you created, it's something God orchestrated. As your spirit rises, not everyone can understand your growth, your hunger, your calling. God will not allow you to feel comfortable around people who are not assigned to your next season. He will stir your heart, shift your desires, and create a holy dissatisfaction that pushes you toward new territory.
This pain is purposeful. In this season, discomfort is a sign that your elevation is near. It's your spirit whispering that you cannot remain where you are. It's God telling you that He's preparing something bigger than what you can currently see.
Do not fear the stretching, embrace it. Do not fight the shifting, trust it. What feels uncomfortable now is building the strength, maturity, and faith you will need for what's coming. You are not losing yourself, you are shedding an old version of yourself.
You are not falling apart, you are being rebuilt. You are not being abandoned, you are being aligned. God is not punishing you by allowing discomfort. He is preparing you to receive what you prayed for.
The big shift is coming, and this discomfort is the first sign that God is moving. Hold on, trust Him, and keep walking. You are being prepared for a season that will require the strongest, boldest, most aligned version of you. When God is preparing a major shift in your life, one of the clearest signs is that He begins closing doors you were once allowed to walk through. And while this can be confusing, painful, or even frightening, it is one of the greatest expressions of His protection and divine strategy. You may not understand it at first. The opportunities that once flowed effortlessly suddenly dry up. The people who once supported you no longer stand by your side. The plans you built with confidence suddenly collapse, but what looks like rejection is actually redirection. What feels like loss is divine intervention. God closes doors not to harm you, but to save you from destinations that would limit you, drain you, distract you, or destroy your purpose. Sometimes God will shut a door so tightly that no amount of effort, negotiation, or prayer will reopen it. Not because you are unworthy, but because the place you are trying to stay is too small for the calling he placed inside you. He knows that if he allowed every relationship, every job, every environment, and every season to continue, you'd get comfortable and never move into your next level. So he does what only a loving father would do. He interrupts your plan so he can protect his plan for you. You may cry over it, question it, or struggle with it, but heaven is not rejecting you, heaven is redirecting you. And the truth is, God sees what you cannot. He hears conversations you never knew about. He sees betrayals before they happen. He sees destruction long before it reaches your doorstep. He knows when a situation will drain your peace, steal your joy, or slowly diminish your purpose. So he closes doors as shields. He removes people before they sabotage your next season. He ends opportunities that would distract you from your calling. He disconnects you from paths that would delay your destiny. When God blocks something, it's never to punish you, it's to preserve you. This is the season where you must learn to trust closed doors just as much as open ones. A closed door is God saying, there is something better, something safer, something greater wait for it. Sometimes the blessing is not in what he says yes to. Sometimes the blessing is in what he refuses to let you settle for. You may not see the danger, but he does. You may not see the trap, but he does. You may not see the future heartbreak, but he already did, and he shut the door to protect your destiny. And here is the powerful truth. Every door God closes creates space for the door he has prepared to open. But until the wrong door shuts, the right one cannot appear. God is strategic. He removes what no longer fits so he can reveal what finally does. He ends cycles so he can introduce new chapters. He subtracts so he can multiply. His no is not the end, it is the pivot point into a season overflowing with his divine yes. So do not mourn closed doors. Do not chase after what God is removing. Do not beg for people he has dismissed from your life. Do not try to reopen something he has already sealed shut. Instead, lift your head, straighten your shoulders, and remind yourself, if God closed it, I don't want it. If God ended it, it wasn't meant for me. If God removed it, something greater must be coming. Trust the closing. Trust the ending. Trust the shutdown, because when God closes a door, he is preparing to open one so powerful, so purposeful, so filled with destiny that you will look back and thank him for every disappointment that protected your future. The big shift is coming, and the closed doors are your confirmation. When God is preparing a major shift in your life, he will begin removing certain people from your circle. And this is one of the clearest yet most painful signs that a divine transition is happening. You may not understand it at first. People you once trusted begin to distance themselves. Relationships that once felt strong suddenly weaken, and connections you thought were permanent begin to fade. But hear this clearly, when God starts separating you from certain individuals, it's because their presence can no longer accompany your purpose. Not everyone is meant to walk with you into your next season. Some people were only assigned to a chapter, not the entire story. And when you try to hold on to who God is trying to remove, you delay your own destiny. God hears conversations you never heard. He sees intentions you couldn't see. He knows who truly supports you and who secretly resents you. He sees the jealousy wrapped in fake smiles, the hidden agendas behind false encouragement, and the silent competition behind every compliment. And because he loves you too much to let sabotage follow you into your next season, he begins to disconnect you gently, quietly, and sometimes abruptly from people who cannot carry the weight of where he's taking you. Some people look loyal but are not aligned. Some look supportive but are draining your spirit. Some act loving but fear your growth. And God will not allow contaminated connections to pollute the promise he has prepared for you. So, when people walk away, let them. When they stop calling, release them. When they suddenly change, bless them. Their departure is not your loss. It is God's protection. You may feel rejected, but you are actually being redirected. You may feel lonely, but you are being set apart. You may feel confused, but God is clearing your path of anyone who would hinder your breakthrough. Growth requires separation. Elevation demands isolation. Destiny is not a group assignment. Sometimes God must prune your circle so you can grow without interference. And understand this, God will remove people even if you still love them, because He sees what they will do long before you do. He sees the betrayals you are unaware of. He sees the harm hidden behind their smiles. He sees the spiritual weight they place on your progress. He sees the conversations they have about you behind your back. And He loves you enough to separate you before their presence derails your future. The people leaving your life are not a sign that something is wrong with you. It is a sign that something big is coming for you. This is a season where God is refining your connections, purifying your circle, and protecting your spirit. You cannot carry dead weight into your next level. You cannot elevate while surrounded by energy that pulls you downward. You cannot hear God clearly when surrounded by noise disguised as companionship. So He silences the distractions by removing the ones who were never meant to stay. Instead of mourning who left, prepare for who is coming. Instead of grieving closed relationships, thank God for divine replacements. He removes people not to leave you empty, but to make space for those who fit your future. You are stepping into a season where every relationship will be purposeful, aligned, and sent by God. And when you see who He brings, when you experience the peace, support, and alignment that flows effortlessly, you will understand why He had to remove who He did. Trust the separation. Trust the quiet exits. Trust the sudden changes. When God removes people, it's because elevation is near, and not everyone can breathe at the altitude you're going to. When God is preparing a major shift in your life, He often brings you into a season of deep internal transformation, a kind of spiritual rewiring where your mindset, your habits, your desires, and even your identity begin to shift. This change can feel unsettling at first because it pulls you out of who you used to be and pushes you toward who you were created to become. You may find yourself losing interest in things that once excited you. Conversations that once entertained you may suddenly feel empty. Old habits that once felt comfortable now feel draining. This is not confusion, this is growth. This is God reshaping you so you can fit the destiny He has prepared. You cannot enter a new season with an old mindset, so God begins a deep internal renovation, often in silence, often in isolation, but always with purpose. During this transformation, God strips away self-doubt, fear, and limiting beliefs that kept you stuck. He exposes the thoughts that held you back, the ones that whispered you're not enough, you're not capable, or you're not worthy. And as He exposes them, He begins to replace them with clarity, courage, and conviction. You start wanting more for yourself, not out of pride, but out of purpose. You start dreaming differently, praying differently, thinking differently. Suddenly you feel a push in your spirit that says there is more for you. That push is divine. That restlessness is a signal that God is stretching you, elevating you, preparing you. Growth rarely feels comfortable, but discomfort is often the doorway to destiny. This inner shift also brings a new level of awareness. You begin to recognize what drains you and what refuels you. You start to sense the difference between distractions and divine direction. You discern which opportunities are truly meant for you and which ones are traps wearing the mask of convenience. God sharpens your vision and softens your heart. He strengthens your spirit and quiets your flesh. He begins to align your desires with His will, so that what you pursue is no longer based on insecurity or pressure, but purpose and obedience. You begin to crave peace over chaos, healing over revenge, growth over familiarity. These new desires are not random, they are spiritual alignment. And as God transforms you from the inside, you begin shedding the version of yourself that pain created. The version shaped by trauma, disappointment, and survival begins to fade. God starts restoring the version He intended, the confident, courageous, resilient, purpose-driven you. This transformation requires letting go of what no longer serves your destiny. Letting go of negative self-talk, old wounds, unhealthy attachments, and past failures. When God transforms you, He does not just upgrade your circumstances, He upgrades your identity. He molds your character to match your calling. He strengthens your spirit to handle the blessings ahead. He shapes your heart so you can carry influence without losing humility, success without losing sensitivity, and abundance without losing gratitude. This inner transformation is the foundation for the big shift coming your way. God will not elevate you into a position that your character is unprepared to sustain. So He works within you, first strengthening your integrity, sharpening your discipline, cleansing your motives, and igniting your passion. What feels like pressure is preparation. What feels like breaking is building. What feels like confusion is the rearranging of your spiritual DNA. You are not who you used to be, and that is exactly the point. When God transforms you internally, it is because something external is about to change dramatically. He's shaping you so that when the door opens, you walk through it boldly. When the opportunity comes, you seize it confidently. When the blessing arrives, you handle it responsibly. The version of you emerging from this season is stronger, wiser, more aligned, and more anointed. Trust the transformation even when you don't understand it. You are being prepared for a season that requires a renewed mind, a healed heart, and a strengthened spirit. The shift is not just coming, it is happening within you right now. When God is preparing a major shift in your life, one of the clearest signs is that He begins removing certain people, situations, and influences from your path, not as punishment, but as protection. This can be one of the hardest parts of the journey because human nature often clings to the familiar, even when the familiar is no longer healthy, supportive, or aligned with the future God designed for you. But when God begins to separate you from things that drain your spirit, distract your focus, or diminish your worth, it's because He is clearing space for something greater. He is pruning your life so you can grow stronger. He is removing what cannot stay so He can introduce what must enter. He is distancing you from the voices that confused you so you can hear His voice with clarity. Sometimes this removal feels like lost friendships fade, relationships shift, opportunities close. Certain circles no longer feel right. But what looks like rejection is often divine redirection. God sees what you cannot see. He hears conversations you never heard. He knows intentions hidden behind smiles. He knows who will support your growth and who will sabotage it. He knows who is meant for your next season and who was only meant for a chapter, not the whole story. Trust the distance, trust the closure, trust the silence. Sometimes people disappear not because they're bad, but because their part in your journey is complete. You cannot carry everyone into the season God is leading you into. There are moments when God removes you from environments that once felt comfortable. He may take you out of routines you depended on. He may interrupt patterns you settled into. He may even close doors you prayed would remain open. And even though these changes may leave you feeling confused, isolated, or uncertain, they are often signs of protection. God knows that if He let you stay where you were, you would shrink instead of grow. You would settle instead of soar. You would remain tied to burdens that were never meant to be yours. So He pulls you away even when you resist, because His love is too strong to let you limit your own potential. This divine removal is also God's way of teaching you to trust Him over your comfort zone. He wants you to depend on His guidance instead of your old connections. He wants you to recognize your worth so you stop attaching yourself to people who don't value you. He wants you to rise above the noise of negativity, comparison, and drama that once surrounded you. When you step back and reflect, you'll realize that some people were draining you emotionally, spiritually, and mentally. Some opportunities were distractions disguised as blessings. Some paths were leading you away from your purpose, not toward it. God removes what you would have settled for so He can give you what you were created for. And as things begin to fall away, you'll notice something powerful. Your spirit becomes lighter, your vision becomes clearer, and your heart becomes stronger. You begin to see possibilities you never noticed before. You begin to feel peace where there was once anxiety. You begin to move with confidence instead of fear. That is the evidence of God shifting your atmosphere. That is the proof that separation was necessary. God is protecting you from what could have broken you and preparing you for what will elevate you. Sometimes God has to close doors because you would have stayed too long. Sometimes He has to remove people you trusted because they couldn't walk with you at the level you're rising to. Sometimes He has to unsettle your spirit so you don't settle in places beneath your calling. What you lose in this season is nothing compared to what God is making room for. What He removes is temporary. What He replaces it with is divine, purposeful, and destined. Do not mourn the losses He orchestrates. Do not chase after what He has released. Do not fear the emptiness. God fills empty hands. God fills empty spaces. God fills empty seasons with extraordinary purpose. If God is removing something from your life right now, it is because He is preparing to replace it with something far better, far stronger, and far more aligned with who you are becoming. Trust the removal. It's not abandonment, it's advancement. It's not rejection, it's redirection. It's not loss, it's preparation for the blessing ahead. God is clearing your path because your next chapter requires a new level of alignment, focus, and freedom. When God is about to shift your life in a major way, He doesn't just move circumstances around you, He strengthens the resilience within you so you can carry the blessing He is preparing. This isn't the type of resilience that simply helps you survive. It's the type that transforms you, empowers you, and elevates you into someone capable of stepping boldly into the next level. You begin to notice that things which once broke you no longer have the same power over you. Challenges that used to overwhelm you now push you to think differently, pray deeper, and rise higher. This inner strength doesn't come from comfort. It is forged through pressure, through battles you didn't expect, through moments you didn't think you'd make it through, yet here you are, standing stronger than ever. God develops resilience when He knows your next season will require more courage, more discipline, more patience, and more faith than ever before. He allows certain obstacles not to defeat you, but to refine you. Every trial becomes training, every setback becomes sharpening, every heartbreak becomes molding. Instead of collapsing under pressure, you start adapting. Instead of complaining, you start learning. Instead of giving up, you start dusting yourself off and stepping forward with a determination you didn't even know you possessed. That is God preparing you internally for the external blessings He is arranging. He knows that without resilience, you would mishandle the very breakthrough you've been praying for. This resilience shows up in small ways. First, you stop reacting to negativity the way you used to. Your emotions stabilize, your discernment sharpens, and your spirit settles. Then it shows up in bigger ways. You make choices that align with your purpose. You refuse to return to old patterns, and you protect your peace at all costs. You begin to feel a new level of maturity rising within you, a strength you didn't have last year, a wisdom you didn't walk in last month. This is God shaping you into someone who can not only receive the blessing but sustain it. Blessings without resilience lead to collapse. Blessings with resilience lead to elevation. And as you grow stronger on the inside, doors on the outside begin to open. The opportunities that once intimidated you now feel manageable. The responsibilities that once overwhelmed you now feel purposeful. The dreams that once seemed too big now feel like the next natural step. God builds resilience not to toughen your heart, but to expand your capacity. He is stretching your faith so your future won't scare you. He is strengthening your resolve so your destiny won't crush you. He is preparing your character so your blessings won't break you. This is why the pressure has been heavy. This is why the battles felt intense. This is why the season has been stretching you in ways you didn't understand. God wasn't punishing you, He was preparing you. He was turning your wounds into wisdom, your pain into power, and your struggles into spiritual muscle. You are not weak. You are being made unshakable. You are not forgotten. You are being fortified. You are not stuck. You are being strengthened for the very breakthrough you've been waiting for. And when the blessing arrives, and it will, you will realize why God built you the way He did. You will see how every disappointment became discipline, every delay became development, and every closed door became a divine classroom. You'll step into the next season not fragile, but fortified, not fearful, but focused, not broken, but built. God is preparing you not to barely survive your blessing, but to fully thrive in it. This resilience He's forming within you is the final sign that the shift is near, because God strengthens you right before He elevates you.